Our next guests both served under President Trump during his first term. Let's bring in former ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, and former Deputy National Security Advisor, KT McFarland. Ambassador, first to this report out of this network saying that the military strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities did not destroy the core components and likely only set it back months. This is, as Caroline Levitt says, an anonymous low-level loser in the intelligence community who is flat out wrong. And even J.D. Vance, the vice president, said yesterday they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%. And further, they don't have the ability to convert that to a nuclear weapon. That is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program. And the head of the IAEA agreed with him wholeheartedly. Where is this leak coming from? Why are they doing it?
Well, thanks for having me. It seems pretty obvious. I mean, these are low-level anonymous sources going to the most anti-Trump network and saying, hey, don't take a victory lap. You really didn't accomplish much. It's completely ridiculous. First of all, nobody's jumped into the 300-foot hole, you know, at the bottom of Fordo to see what's still there. So anybody who claims something about that is making it up. Look, Iran is the size of Alaska, right? It's a very big place. I'm sure there is some uranium floating around someplace, but the idea that somebody could take that, turn it into uranium hexafluoride, turn it into, make it into metal, load it up on a warhead, put it on a ballistic missile. I mean, that's why Iran had all these big facilities to do all those things, and they're all gone. So, you know, I'm going with Pete Hegseth. I'm going with Prime Minister Netanyahu. I'm going with the 10, 20 people I've spoken to today who know what they're talking about, and they're all, you know, quite elated about the fact that Iran no longer has nuclear capability.
As the world should be, Ambassador.
And KT, on this point, I'm just looking at some of the statements we've seen today, right? The chief of the IAEA, with Martha McCallum on the news channel earlier, called the devastation to Iran's nuclear program, quote, significant. General Petraeus was on with Will Cain, and he said he believes it probably set back their program by years. Israeli intelligence reportedly also saying years. But here we have an anonymous report, or at least anonymous source, going to CNN and saying it's months, and you're seeing that Chiron on other networks, oh, only months. What do you make of this?
They just, you know, Donald Trump could cure cancer, and there would still be people who said, well, you know, he didn't cure it enough. Look, it was an extraordinary achievement, and it shows that the United States is back. It shows that the United States is the only country that could have pulled something like that off with that sophistication, that precision, that lethality, and it just rubs a lot of people the wrong way that it was Donald Trump that's doing it. The one thing I found, though, fascinating is in a lot of the reporters and commentators on other networks, and including people who were spokesmen for other Democrat leaders, said, well, you know, if it had been President Obama, or if it had been President Biden, or even Hillary Clinton, they would have done the same thing. They would have done the same kind of attack that President Trump initiated. So what that sounds to me like is that, you know, they all realize it was just a 10 win, and they just cannot help themselves to say, thank you, Donald Trump, thank you, United States military. You basically saved civilization.
Well, Ambassador, you posted that on X, that president after president said the U.S. will, Israel cannot, Iran cannot. But President Trump moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. President Trump brokered peace deals between Israel and 4 Arab nations, and he destroyed Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons.
Look, the most frustrating thing I've heard over the last, you know, the last 4 years was, you know, when Biden would get up and say, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. He said that over and over again, but at the same time, he lifted sanctions on Iran. They found themselves earning hundreds of billions of dollars. They used that money to build all the things that Trump just destroyed. They used that money to fund Hamas and Hezbollah and Iraqi Hezbollah and the Houthis. I mean, all the things that, you know, Biden said they wouldn't do, he funded, and he kept saying don't, and they kept saying, you know, we're going to do it anyway. So, you know, all those words. And in the Middle East, there's nothing cheaper than words. I mean, our enemies there, look at words and rhetoric, and it doesn't mean a thing to them. But when we drop 30,000-pound bombs, when we collaborate with Israel in one of the greatest military operations, maybe in the history of the world, they fully understand. So we have not only destroyed the Iranian nuclear facilities, we have restored deterrence against our enemies, which was completely obliterated under the Biden administration.
KT, you just heard the ambassador talk about those 30,000-pound bombs that President Trump authorized, right, the dropping of those. He then dropped an F-bomb in public this morning. He was in a peevish mood early today with a pretty strong and terse warning both to the Iranians and the Israelis. What do you see going on there? What's your read?
Well, they were both trying to play around, right? They had a few hours left before the ceasefire was supposed to begin, so they were all trying to get one last dig in. And when President Trump said to the Israelis, don't do it, and he said to the Iranians, don't do it, within, I think, half an hour, Bibi Netanyahu issued a statement saying, we're going to respect the ceasefire. What I find really interesting, though, is it's not just about the Middle East. This is so much bigger than the Middle East. I mean, who are the big losers in this in the global sense? China, Russia. They were supposed to be Iran's great allies. They're missing in action. They've done nothing to support Iran. So although China has gone to the world for the last decade and said America's finished, America's greatest days are behind it. The world and the future lie with China. Come to our side, be our friend, trade with us, do what we tell you to do. It's really put that whole notion on its head. The United States is the only country that could have pulled that off. The President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, is the only leader who had the guts and the vision to do it and to execute it in the way he's done it. And I have a feeling that he's now at a NATO summit where 8 years before, when he went to that same NATO summit and he said, I want you guys to pay 2%, just 2% of your GNP. And they laughed at him. They made fun of him. They joked about him. They ridiculed him publicly. Where are they now? Oh my gosh, they're tripping over each other to say, oh no, 5%, 5%. We can't wait to help with our common defense and our NATO allies in the United States. So, Donald Trump is now the most powerful man in the world, and everybody understands it, including the Chinese, our European allies, and hopefully Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I think they're probably getting some thank yous in, maybe not publicly, to President Trump at that NATO summit.
The president showed what it means to be an ally. That's what he did. And stand up for peace and stand up against a terrorist bully.
All right, got to leave it there. Ambassador, KT, great to see you both. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.